A lot of stuff has been burning my mind. And I had a weird prophetic dream last night about the fire spirits. If you don't know anything, what fire spirits are, the spirits you see anywhere that are made out of pure fire. They are also known as the jinn, but they're also known as fallen angels. If you look up the basic Wikipedia, it compares Satan and his fallen angels to the jinn, gypsy, psychic, spiritual type of spirits. And I'm going to have to smoke for this show. But basically, I had a dream of the jinn spirits, fire spirits, all in a house, and they were all on fire. And when the house... This was really prophetic and weird, because the house flooded and destroyed and all resemblance of these spirits. So this was actually a resemblance of what Christianity has been doing to people like the jinn for a long time. And if you don't know the story, they fell from heaven to have sex with women and teach entire societies witchcraft, root cutting and all that type of stuff. And they had Azazel teach mankind how to make weapons, Belial, Melikteos. There was also demons to project astrology and philosophy and all that fell from the heavens. And I had this weird prophetic dream of them being flooded in a house they were trying to escape from. And that really means, and I know this theologically too, but basically there are, the entire point of the Bible is to remove these type of spirits. The entire point of these, I wouldn't say revolutionary, maybe revolutionary spirits of the jinn that teach people magic and witchcraft and all that type of stuff. And the flood is from actually Genesis, and I don't know exactly where in Genesis, but the flood, right? The basic flood, Noah's Ark type of stuff. And the whole point of that, filling the earth, was actually theologically. Why do you think all this information was taken out of the Bible, by the way? A lot of this stuff about Nephilim spirits roaming the earth, giants, all these type of spirits roaming the earth, and that are offspring of fallen angels, the Watchers, which are called the Watchers. Fallen angels are called the Watchers, but for some reason the Bible skips over that and makes you think, oh, well, the Nephilim are the true sons of God, right? The Bible also skips over the entire story of Lilith being a figure of feminism originally in the Bible that was taken out, but still taught in Hebrew study classes. So, but the real point of the flood, right? The flood was to remove all of these spirits of witchcraft, to limber down, because after Satan the serpent gave Eve information that expanded her consciousness, it was after that, for a long time, it was a threat. It was a straight up threat, having information like that. And of course, Lilith abandoning Adam because she was has more mental and physical prowess than a man. A lot of that was taken out of the Bible, but it's still taught in Hebrew studies for some reason. And I just wanted to tell the story of my prophetic weird dream is because I do have psychic ability. But the real point of this video is something else. Something else entirely, and I wanted to make an entire video on this. But, like, in the psychic community, there are competitors that will, especially if they're unknown, if you're not like a YouTuber. And this has happened to me, I think, a while before I became a YouTuber. That was partially known. But I've had people come up to me, and I'm not going to say who, but they wanted astrology. They gave me astrology lessons, basically. And they taught me how the entire astrological wheel and all the signs co-align and how all that mystic stuff works. Just so I can start getting them, on off days, start getting them books about moon magic and eventually a Wiccan Bible. Only for them to basically try to call me insane because I have psychic ability, yes. Just because I have psychic ability, I was mentally insane. So what I wanted to make this video about is actually why, well, not why, but like overall, like people just trying to discredit you, and witches fighting each other, trying to put another one in the mental asylum to shut them up. That's actually a very real thing. Not like this is a conspiracy. No, this person is probably more closer to me than you would ever realize. But basically, they tried to get me locked up in a mental asylum for a month or over just because I had psychic ability. And I knew that was the real reason. Like, ooh, I'm mentally ill. Ooh, I'm challenging your thoughts, right? But the real reason was that I had a real psychic ability. And they wanted to shut me up and put me in a mental asylum. And it has nothing to do with the Illuminati or the elite or anything like that, because this person is closer than any of those conspiracy theories. Like, home base close. But that is one of the main problems within the occult movement and all that type of stuff, is that you have people literally trying to do that. Just trying to shut up other people. Either so they can, like, lard at you and laugh at you and say, I'm more psychic than you because you're in a mental hospital for having this psychic ability. And I'm not, so I'm more psychic, right? You know, it could be any reason. It could be jealousy even. Like, I'm more psychic. Which is exactly it, jealousy. So these Nephilim, the fire spirits were the angels, right? But I think these were the Nephilim in my dream. Because they were also trying to help me escape the house when the house started flooding. So, yeah, like, I really do have these psychic abilities. I just don't know why people want to discredit that, to call you insane. But basically, fucking insane. Here's the fucking go away. But basically, the psychic world is more complex. So if you come up with these complex stories, or you start talking about the complexity of it, a complex event, or a complex thing going on in the universe, or in the spiritual realm, you get deemed insane. Because it's so unbelievable, and the people know this too. The people in the psych realms, in the psych wards, know this, and they kind of want to shut you up. And the whole thing is quite critical. But everything in the psychic realm is real. It's real. Straight up. And this specific person tried to play the innocent game after they were the ones that got me into that type of astrology foretelling type of stuff. And, you know, I try to get stuff that tried to help them on their little journey. And they had to complain to my family, saying I was critically insane, trying to trick them into putting me in a mental ward hospital. And trust me, it did not work. Because I told them the whole freaking story. I told them the whole tale. And it's not going to work. And so when I say that I am a child of an angel, like the angel that fell to earth, I kind of mean it. I kind of mean it. Mostly. I mean, like, I know my mother will detest this now and prove me wrong now for some sort of reason, but she told me growing up is that, that my entire birth, me being born, was some sort of, Wiccan, ritualistic thing. Neo-paganism. Is that I was a neo-pagan birth. That they performed a ritual to assign my birth sign. You know? And all this type of stuff. In fact, I know so much about this tale from being told so many times and remembering it, is that the birth sign they gave to me wasn't my Capricorn January birth sign. It was actually my great-grandmother's, my Mamu's birth sign, that they handed back down to me. I know this for a fact. When I say that I was one of those fire spirits in my dream, in my prophetic dream, I mean it. When my mom told me many times growing up that she was the literal Lilith, and all that, I take it seriously. I take it seriously. Even if she's not Lilith, I take it seriously because she told me so many times that she was Lilith, she looked up to Lilith, and that with the whole father is a watcher thing, that was stuck in my mind as in almost teenage years, 11, 12, 13, basically, it does stick to you your whole life. It does. When your father is Samael, technically, or another Watcher, and the whole thing about her getting another boyfriend because my dad went insane, which is another sign of a spiritual overload of information. And my mom's other boyfriend, when I was younger, kept telling me, read the book of Enoch, read the book of Enoch, read the book of Enoch. It tells you how the angels fell and mated with children and made a Nephilim. So, and he also tried to teach me the philosophy of Aleister Crowley, how important Aleister Crowley was to the invention of Wicca. You know, that type of stuff. Even me, I don't know what's wrong with my mother now, but we used to have, like, full conversations about how Aleister Crowley pretty much invented Wicca. So yeah. Like, there's many different reasons. She might have some sort of contract. My mom might have some sort of contract with a deity or something like that not to admit the truth. Or she's trying to cover her own ass. Or she just basically wants to refuse it all. That it all happened. But it did. And that's what the latter is what I'm afraid of. Is that she would try to admit, behind closed doors, that none of this stuff happened. Even though she told me constantly growing up. So, yeah. I mean, like, my mom did say it was a ritualistic birth. And one of the last Wiccan, neo-pagan rituals I went to, they used an orange to represent the sun god being birthed by the goddess mother of neo-paganism. Years before that, I was in a destruction ritual. A black witch tried to destroy me and used an orange to represent my aura and my soul and smashed it. But years later, they used an orange to rebirth the sun god of neo-paganism. And all throughout my life, I've had cycles of feeling darkness around this time of year. When the sun fades away and the days become shorter, I become more intrigued in stuff like demonology. And during the summer, I like the mania, the mental stuff like mania, the mental illness called mania. Is like, look at that butterfly, look at that bunny. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all magical. And no, I've never done a ritual to summon, do an evocation for any demon, or an invocation. Neither angels. Neither Wicca. I've done a few Wiccan rituals, of course, but yeah, I don't know. When people have, like, real things going on and they get revenge tacticked, someone uses a revenge tactic to put you in a mental institution and try to make your family think you're crazy. Because I'm not crazy. Because most of this stuff I'm telling you, my mother told me growing up. And some of it, most nights I do have a dream with meaning. And I will tell you right now that there's no angel on earth. The entire flood was to remove all the angels that fell to earth. And mostly though, they're children. But yet, the fallen angels, they were trying to get rid of too. And that's why I don't like it when I get revenge tacticked. Like, at all. I don't like it. It's not funny. It's kind of a travesty because, A, the mental institution will believe someone when they say, this guy's crazy, you know? He's not crazy. Because most of the time, expanded consciousness and mystical witchcraft, actually, when I went to the mental institution a few years ago, most of the people I went in there were mentally insane, but that's because they dabbled in witchcraft. And that's when I realized that a huge portion of those type of people are either insane criminals, gang members, or they're witches, and someone's trying to shut them up as a revenge tactic or some shit. And I've seen it more and more in everyday life, outside of my personal life, outside of my little hub, my little hermit hub. I've seen it. It's like, you're insane if you think you can study witchcraft. Everything in witchcraft makes you mentally insane. We're trying to shut you up. We don't want you to have expanded consciousness. This world is corrupt. And I will say this, is that Satanism has nothing to do with its core values that it says in the Satanic Bible. The higher-ups is all about demonology. And once you understand that, you understand a lot about that type of religion. But that religion goes way back to the fallen angels and what they taught. And there's even a book now. The Watch is Michael W. Ford, The Watchers of the Witch's Sabbath, summoning the archangels and shit like that. And there's so many books about summoning the angels of God too. And I've come to the point where I realized that actually doing all this angelic, not only the Satanism and the neo-paganism, but actually calling upon angels and exorcism and talking to God and all of this stuff is low-key witchcraft. That's what I've also realized. And it's I don't know how to explain this at all. But like when you hear all the news reports nowadays in Christianity's decline about hypocritical Christians is very true. Because it's a generational curse on that religion. Is that they call upon God to do all this mystical shit but kill mystics in the Inquisition, the Salem trials. That's why a lot of witches are hush-hush whenever they start talking about religion on the news or news reports about rapists and stuff, because the higher-ups know it's a generational curse. They know it. But that's all I'm going to talk about in this video, and I hope you all have a pleasant day.